Oh, hello, hello. Welcome to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. It's your boy E here with all the cool wrestling factoids that you guys are definitely looking forward to hearing about. We have an amazing show for you today lined up. First and foremost, want to wish you guys hope you guys have a good Memorial weekend. Hope you guys had fun with the family. Nice barbecue, maybe a couple of drinks. Don't get too crazy here at the GSMC Sports Network. We don't condone absolute hardcore partying. No, I'm just kidding, man. No, hope you had a good time. Hope you got some rest. But right now, it's time for the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up, guys. We have our WWE Smackdown review. We have our WWE King and Queen of the Ring review as well. We have just reviews of the yin yang here. We have the AEW Double or Nothing. Was an amazing pay-per-view. Very, very good. Honestly, 5 stars. 5 out of 5. Definitely something that AEW definitely really needed in their, not desperation. I don't feel like they've been in desperation in their efforts to kind of just be, just for people and just like all the naysayers in the wrestling world and all like people like Eric Bischoff who loves to criticize Tony Khan. Just kind of give them a break. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a great show. It was a great show. We're going to talk about that. Our fourth segment, we're going to talk about our Monday Night Raw preview. Yes, it's happening, and yes, it's happening right now live. I promise to you, it has already aired on the East Coast. So I have not checked Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, none of that. So I'm as much as it, in the dark, just as much as you guys are. So yeah, definitely. I'm fifth and final segment. We're to keep up with this Memorial Monday. Basically, I bring up a couple superstars from WWE, AEW, TNA, in the wrestling world that has passed, but just because they're past doesn't necessarily mean that they did not leave a legacy behind. So we're going to get into that later on. But before we move on to anything, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. We get a number of questions that come in from viewers like you during the show. So to ensure that your show gets read on air in front of millions of people, I ask you guys to use this link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Give me your questions. Just put your questions on the top so I can see it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want me to further elaborate on. Tell me what, some of your opinions as well. Ultimately, this is my podcast, the wrestling podcast. But, if you notice something about wrestling fans automatically, they just have this thing that just clicks, this emotional, this unspoken bond that I feel like if you guys don't be shy, hit, chat. Tell me I suck. Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't make me cry. It's my birthday. I'm just kidding. No. But anyways, this really helps the show, guys. A little positive feedback, a little peace, love, and positivity, if you will, here at the GSMC Sports Network does a body good. So the link is at the GSMC podcast.net. So don't be too shy to, let your voice be heard. Your voice will be heard. I appreciate all statements. All statements. So let's go ahead and start off with the WWE Smackdown review. It was a good one. Obviously, this kind of teeing up toward Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And first it started off with Nia Jax against Bianca Belair. This match, I feel kind of bad for Bianca because her, with her injury, with her knee and stuff like that. But ultimately, she was fighting back and forth. She did a very good job. But one main aspect of Bianca Belair's game in terms of wrestling is her power. I feel like her power and her speed is something that sets her away, apart from all the other wrestlers in the women's division in WWE, SmackDown, Raw, and even NXT. So, once when you lose that knee, it, really minimizes your capabilities and also your potential to kind of get back to the, you stick to your strengths. You stick to your strengths. That's what's got her so much success in the past. So Nia Jax, obviously, she's a whole lot of woman. So trying to lift her up, try to get her in the kiss of death. The KOD obviously wasn't in the future. Belair did hit a massive power bomb on Nia Jax that I thought was actually pretty damn cool. And something that I did notice that it's kind of just something that's kind of minimal. It's just something that obviously, it's because of the cultures there in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It's just that they're all wearing like full body suits, and that's cool. I definitely respect that 110%. In order to kind of respect another person's culture, or when you travel across seas, you kind of have especially when you're the guest, you gotta. It's like kind of welcoming someone in your own home. Sometimes you might not like it. You're in their house. You got to play by their rules. So definitely notice the full body, suit in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. But that's just how, kind of how the culture is. So it didn't really bother me that much, but I thought I would bring it up because it was very, very interesting. So Nia Jax was beaten. Bianca Belair had Nia Jax dead to right, put her up for the KOD. Her knee gave out, and then just bad stuff happened, and it was just an avalanche of awfulness. Nia Jax was able to, hit her with the Annihilator. Nia Jax ultimately wins to move on. So now you have a Lyra Valkyria finals match. So we're going to get into in our next segment. So let's go ahead and move on here. Um, she also said something to Lyra Valkyrie. She said, "It starts tomorrow when I buzz through you." That Lyra Valkyrie has been absolutely phenomenal ever since she got drafted in the WWE draft a couple weeks ago. She was drafted to Monday Night Raw. A lot of people thought, like, once when she dropped the belt to Roxanne Perez in NXT, that people kind of thought that maybe like her time was kind of done. Kind of, her spotlight, her 15 minutes of fame was, in the rearview mirror. But, this tournament just showed why Lyra Valkyria is definitely someone that's going to be a badass. It's going to be someone who's absolutely willing to do whatever it takes to just keep her name cemented at the top of the women's division in any brand, Raw, SmackDown, or even NXT. So definitely love Lyra Valkyria, moving forward. And starting with Grayson Waller effect, Bianca was backstage and she was talking, and then Indy and Candice LeRae kind of interrupt, creating this WWE Women's World Tag Team match for the pre-show for Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I don't know. I just don't. The Grayson Waller effect for me. I love Grayson Waller. He's a very talented athlete from Australia. I'm just waiting for them to drop those belts. I don't think the belts are good around the waist of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Obviously, they're the total heels. I was hoping maybe DIY would kind of find a way to kind of cement themselves into the title picture so they can, fight and ultimately dethrone them, because I hate those guys. I'm just kidding. No, this is an unbiased podcast. What are you talking about, Eric? But moving on. I thought it was kind of crazy. And of course, you saw the QR code happen again. It said he is coming, and Carmelo Hayes came in, and he ultimately sided with, A-Town Down Under. Carmelo Hayes, he is him. He's making waves all over WWE so far in his SmackDown tender. He's fought Cody Rhodes. He's fought Baron Corbin and defeated him, and he's also fought Randy Orton, but didn't come up too lucky in the the King of the Ring semifinals. So, but all in all, it was great. It was pretty great. Absolutely love Carmelo Hayes. I love this promo. You kind of have, I don't want to say that word because it's not PG, but you kind of have a jerk and a jerk, and then you have just confidence building up that will ultimately be probably the demise of these guys. But it's going to be interesting to see where WWE takes this, in terms of storyline. And he was just, Carmelo Hayes, when he came out, he was just talking crap about Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin, calling them egomaniacs. And of course, the LA Knight had to come out. And they called him a veteran that has accomplished nothing, that hasn't accomplished anything. And it was kind of crazy because, like, in a sense, and I hate to admit this, he's kind of right. He's kind of right. The LA Knight has been kind of, I feel like through the Vince McMahon era, projected and kind of, transcended into the Paul Levesque era. I feel like the LA Knight has not really, kind of lived up to the potential that I kind of thought he was going to. And before then, he was working backstage with WWE for the longest time. And about I don't want, like, I think it was about a year and a half ago, he was wrestling for TNA. So a lot of wrestling fans are starting to kind of question this whole LA Knight thing. Is he the guy? Is he main event worthy? Can he hold a championship within the WWE? My answer is yes. But I kind of want WWE to start pushing him. Probably going to happen after SummerSlam, but that's just my opinion. And next, you saw the LA Knight ambush. He was ambushed, and ultimately, you saw the Street Profits come and help. You get a 3-on-3 match with the Knight and the Street Profits, ultimately picking up the victory against Hayes and A-Town. And moving on to the Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes segment. Logan Paul gives the brass knuckles to Michael Cole, saying that he does not want to use the brass knuckles. He's going to fight Cody one-on-one, wrestling capabilities against wrestling capabilities. And you had Cody Rhodes, address the Saudi Arabian crowd, the WWE Universe. And Logan Paul came out immediately, and that just showed a lot of disrespect. That just, you can see in Cody's eyes that he was pretty angry. He was pretty angry about that. But if you're Logan Paul, if you're fighting against someone with just this wrestling gift, this wrestling hierarchy, this Cody Rhodes has been a part, his family has been a part of wrestling for so very long. It would be kind of tough and damn near impossible to kind of defeat this guy in a one-on-one straight up wrestling match. So of course you kind of had to play a little bit of mind games here. And that's something Logan Paul did the moment Cody Rhodes came out, opened up his mouth, then Logan Paul, bam, like it played right there. Oh, like I thought that was pretty cool. I definitely loved how Logan Paul went out there and did that. But ultimately the kind of, the promo ended with Logan Paul kind of, with his face in Cody Rhodes' butt, so to speak. So, I thought that was pretty crazy. He kept calling Logan Paul a kid, a fraud. You are nothing without those brass knucks. And honestly, he's 1,010% correct. Can Logan Paul obviously do the impossible and defeat Cody Rhodes? And we're going to talk about it, in this next segment. So make sure you stay tuned. And, kind of moving on here, we have Bayley. When she came out, she was absolutely beloved in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what she's done, but I feel like she has a nice place in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, you don't know who's going to fight Bayley in SummerSlam. You have Nia Jax or Lyra Valkyria. I'm ultimately looking forward to what Bayley has to bring, especially with her being beloved by the WWE fans. Something that I was kind of touching on for the longest time because I feel like Bayley is not a good heel. She doesn't do good heels. She doesn't get good. She doesn't give good promos. She's bad on the mic when she's talking shit, talking mess. But when she's kind of like, when she's trying to prove herself, when she's trying to get fans or the other heel wrestler that she's up against, like she cuts some pretty good promos. She does 1,010%. Love Bayley in that kind of aspect of wrestling, and I'm happy that Paul Levesque kind of brought her into where she's most comfortable in, and you can totally tell by her body language, her choice of words, and just like her overall confidence when she has the mic. So good thing Paul Levesque changed that. So you saw Bayley become victorious over Chelsea Green, and ultimately Bayley kind of got attacked by Piper Niven. Piper Niven, obviously, the tag team partner for Chelsea Green. I thought it was kind of, I don't want to say pointless because I know Piper Niven would never really fight Bayley straight up, or maybe she will. Maybe Clash at the Castle. Piper Niven obviously has she has a European background. She could possibly be the one to fight Bayley for her championship. And because that's kind of what WWE really does is they kind of they pander to the crowd. And that's nothing bad. That's nothing bad, 110%. That's just something you kind of have to do, especially when you're within the PG audience, under the PG, you're not PG-13, you're not rated R. So essentially you kind of need to keep these guys coming back for more. And a lot, I don't know if it's comparing like really apples to oranges here, like comparing AEW and WWE. AEW obviously is 110% PG-13, and WWE, they have a whole bunch of partnerships, international that they're working on. One, you have, the Clash of the Castle in Scotland. Then you also have Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You have Backlash in France. So a lot of these people are probably anticipating like promos that kind of feature something of that nature, someone of that kind of culture. Kind of like when you saw back, I think it was the greatest Royal Rumble ever. No, I don't think it was that. Oh man. But basically you kind of had Mansoor win. Mansoor is he's from Saudi Arabia. That's kind of his hometown. He's a wrestler from there. And they whenever he was there, they kind of made sure like he picked up the victories, so to speak. Kind of like, pandering to the crowd, but that's just how you make business survive. So you can't really fault WWE kind of for doing that. So next you saw Nick Aldis and AJ Styles kind of have a conversation. Um AJ Styles was asking for another chance at Cody Rhodes. And Aldis told him straight up, he's like, hey, man, honestly, I can't do it. You failed, dude. You had a chance. You had a chance at winning the WWE Championship. Didn't work out. No, there was no interference. So you kind of dropped that ball on yourself, guy. And then you also saw AJ Styles lose against Randy Orton. Um, and Nick Aldis was like, dude, I can't do this for you. And AJ Styles, one thing he said before he kind of moved into the promo, he said, before I make any rash decisions, kind of hinting at maybe he might be leaving the WWE, although I doubt it. But if he does, and if WWE drops the ball on this, you can expect Tony Khan to pick up the phenomenal AJ Styles, and that would be bad. If AJ Styles goes to AEW is already on fire thanks to the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view that happened in Las Vegas last night. You kind of have the momentum swung a little bit, and we're going to talk about that, pretty soon. Just kind of finishing off, we had Tama Tonga and Randy Orton. We haven't really seen Tama Tonga in a vulnerable state. It was kind of cool to kind of see how Randy Orton was able to exploit that. Randy Orton wins. He pulled an RKO out of nowhere. Bloodline showing up, showing weakness. Kevin Owens came in to stop the mugging. And so now you have Orton against Gunther for the King of the Ring, finals. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into that. We have the WWE King and Queen of the Ring review. We're going to talk about all the championship matchups and the finals. We have from the women's side, you have Nia Jax and Lyra Valkyria against Gunther and the Viper Randy Orton. So, hey, honestly, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Our first segment, we talked about briefly about WWE Smackdown, how it kind of affects the WWE King and Queen of the Ring event that we're going to get into absolutely right now. But before we move on, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets on top of all the list so I can read it, so we can talk about it, have a nice little back and forth conversation. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me something you would rather see that's happening in WWE right now, or basically any subject matter in terms of professional wrestling. This puts your questions up on top, guys, so we can talk. Definitely would love to hear feedback from you guys. A podcast is only as awesome as the host makes it, and honestly, me as a host, I love being here. I love talking wrestling with you guys, but I'm a guy that loves definitely different perspectives. So if anybody's able to kind of say anything in the chat that kind of makes my brain the wheels start turning, and we can have a nice little conversation about wrestling and stuff like that, or even give me a shout out where you're listening. Be like, hey, yo, this is your boy Brett from El Paso, Texas, or something like that. Dude, that'd be cool too. That'd be cool. We'll do a nice little shout out, whatever. Again, this honestly helps to show guys a little peace, love, and positivity at the GSMC Sports Network. Does a body good. Again, the link is at the GSMC podcast.net. So let's going to dig on into this. We have our WWE King and Queen of the Ring review, so let's jump on into it. So let's start it off in the pre-show with the WWE World Women's Tag Team titles. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Obviously, throughout the whole match, you saw Belair kind of favoring that knee. Indy Hartwell and LeRae was constantly trying to grab that knee. Even Candice LeRae backstage said that she was she was responsible for how Bianca Belair was eliminated from the Queen of the Ring. And that's probably 1,010% true because Bianca Belair had the chance. She had the opening to defeat Nia Jax, put her up for the KOD. Her knee gave out because of what Candice LeRae did, earlier. So within a tournament. So you can't, there's not anything, wrong or anything like, disingenuous about that statement. So I thought that was kind of cool how Candice LeRae kind of threw it in her face, creating, kind of being that heel, kind of like, keep, you have to have that person. You have to have that person that irks the crowd, that, just absolutely gets under your skin. And if you look at Candice LeRae, the way she cuts promos, just like what she did back in WWE NXT some odd years ago, like she can get under your skin. She can definitely get under your skin. And now with Indy Hartwell kind of playing by Candice LeRae's rules, in Hartwell trying to find any way to win, even if it includes cheating, if it includes, the brass knucks, if, illegal hits, distracting the referee. Indy Hartwell has taken a side. She's on the bad side right now. But, I think this is good for them ultimately. So, yeah, and then you also saw Jade Cargill's in-ring abilities. And to be honest, Jade Cargill, she's probably one of the most amazing physical specimens in the women's division in WWE. And you have to realize it. Like, if you look at how she wrestles with other people, when you look at her matches, you automatically assume you're like, oh, dude, Jade Cargill's going to kick her ass. Like, there's no, it's not going to be any contest. But throughout the match, Cargill makes her opponent look absolutely amazing. Like she's able to kind of make it seem like she's going to lose, but she's not. Like it creates the unpredictability of wrestling, and that's something that Jade Cargill has done really well coming into the WWE. So I absolutely love that. Thought that was pretty badass. She's able to put wrestlers above herself so they can look good. You know what I mean? And I kind of thought about it at the same time, and I knew this. I know this kind of might, throw a little smoke. And like I said, I do not hate Ronda Rousey, but when Ronda Rousey was with the WWE, she kind of had this persona. Obviously, she came from the UFC, so she was very physical, very physical, and she just didn't know how to wrestle. She didn't know how to wrestle. She didn't know how to, play well with others, and she was constantly hurting other superstars. And you have no one really to blame, but Ronda Rousey. I From the get-go, when I saw Ronda Rousey fight in the WWE, I knew that she wasn't fit to fight. And people like, oh, UFC, she knows how to fight for real, man. Yeah, dude, cool. Awesome. What do you want? Would you want a thumbs up? What do you want me to be like, how great Ronda Rousey's able to fight for real, man? Like, that's cool and all, but dude, if you're going to try to fight in the WWE, I would say, and I know I'm going to get a lot of scrutiny and backlash about this, it takes a lot more skill to kind of, I don't want to say fight choreograph, like, because it's entertainment. It's entertainment, 110%. So essentially you have to, play to the storyline. You have to constantly be aware of someone's cues. You kind of have to be more ring aware as opposed to like when you're in UFC and boxing where you just like, you just like go at it and stuff like that. So Ronda Rousey definitely was I think she was a huge mistake making her WWE debut. And I know, like I said, might be getting a lot of scrutiny about that. And I do not hate Ronda Rousey. I thought when she came to the WWE could have did a little better promoting her character, or perhaps training her. Back then, when she came into the wrestling business, there was not really that much emphasis in women's wrestling. But now, obviously, that has changed. It would have been cool to kind of see her gonna like be in NXT, kind of learn the ropes a little bit. But so is that Ronda's fault? Not really. But did Ronda kind of come out and kind of open her mouth about how WWE is this and that and the other? Yeah, she did. So the moment you do that, you kind of open yourself up to, to criticism. And that's just kind of how. But overall, Jade Cargill is definitely the real deal in terms of WWE. So, and I was thinking about it. Belair was able to pick up the victory, and I thought to myself, I was like, am I being a little bit too harsh about this tag team? I said on this podcast that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill being the WWE World Women's Tag Team Champions is a mistake. It's a plague in the women's tag team division. And to be honest, I kind of would like to apologize. I feel like I was a bit too harsh. They look amazing together. And they make other superstars in the match look amazing. They're not out there trying to get theirs. They're not trying to be selfish. Oh, I want to show the world how powerful I am. I want to show how dominant we can be. Like you saw Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae put on a really good match against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill that had the outside perspective that they would absolutely be way out of their league. So for them to kind of do something like that, I think that's great. I think keep these guys together. I think it's going to be great. Definitely 110%. They're able to put on quality matches. That's good for them. All right, kind of moving on. We had the WWE World Women's Championship. You had Becky Lynch against Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan put on a good fight. Loved Liv. Feel like she's getting better. Slowly but surely, she's getting better. Becky Lynch was ultimately undefeated against Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan looked absolutely frustrated throughout the match because Becky Lynch just kept, counter after counter after kick out after kick out. She got her into disarmor. She had her. She had her there. But of course, there, something that I love about Liv Morgan, but at the same time, I kind of want to, why I love Liv Morgan and I love that WWE is trying to push her. But if she cannot win, if she cannot do the things she can do without outside interference, kind of like what Dirty Dom did, got her, got Becky Lynch distracted. It was announced. It was announced a couple hours ago that Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch will fight in a steel cage match for the WWE Women's Championship happening. I don't think it's right now. I would say it's probably the main event. I would want to see that in the main event. I can't wait to see it. So those who are watching or those who have already kind of watched, please do not spoil it for me. I will cry right here, right now. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not that emotional. I'm just kidding. But like I said, Dominic slides in the chair to kind of help Becky Lynch win. Dominic Mysterio claims that he will do anything he can to kind of stop Liv Morgan's revenge tour. Ended up aiding her. Ended up, creating the reason why Liv Morgan is our new WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. Liv Morgan, she was able to kind of use the chair. She hit Oblivion with the win. The revenge tour is complete. Liv Morgan, ultimately, the moral of the story, the moral of this match, the outcome of this match is that Liv Morgan can't win clean. Not that it's bad. I just think that's the ultimate heel. Classic heel in the WWE. Like, obviously, you see Roman Reigns, within the bloodline help him out like a crap ton. And you kind of, that plays to the heel role really, really well. So it's going to be interesting to see in terms of the WWE, what they decide to do with Liv Morgan, moving forward, especially in terms of WWE SummerSlam, because you don't have Nia Jax knocking on your door like Bayley does. So, yeah. Next, we see an Intercontinental Championship match. We are, kind of have to try to speed this up. We had Sami Zayn against the Big Bronson Reed against Chad Gable. Chad Gable started getting the "You Suck" chants, which kind of plays to the whole Kurt Angle aspect of it. They kind of had a "then you suck," and then people compare Chad Gable to Kurt Angle on the daily, and that's I think that's something that's pretty awesome. That's something that I was created. I tried creating that narrative like years ago when he was with Alpha Academy, but ultimately Kurt Angle was WWE chose Jason Jordan to be Kurt Angle's illegitimate son. Why wouldn't it have been Chad Gable? Like, that's so weird. But bad writing back in the day. Probably, that was when WWE was starting to, kind of plummet a little bit in terms of writing, where you saw AEW ultimately like being, the new wrestling fad that was pretty awesome to check out. And then once again, you saw the QR code for the Uncle Howdy Sami Zayn came out looking like a local, dressed like once, like what I said about WWE kind of pandering to the crowds. No one does it better than Sami Zayn. And it was nonstop action. Loved it. You saw the Blue Thunder Bomb on a 340-pound Bronson Reed. He kicked out. You saw Otis take out Bronson Reed, and Otis did not want to talk. He did not want to attack Sami Zayn, but Chad Gable was like, "Hey man, what are you doing? What are you thinking?" And he slaps him, and it's just like, oh, it's to the point, like it's so sad. And Otis has that that butter face, that baby face that you absolutely feel sorry for. He's like looks like he's about to cry, and you're like, dude, don't do it. If you start freaking crying right now, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do watching this main event in front of my kids, dude. Like I might start bawling like a baby as well. But it was crazy. It was crazy. I thought it was the kind of the best way to kind of handle this match. I believe that they're trying to save us, the Chad Gable and Otis storyline for SummerSlam. I think ultimately it's gonna unload on the Clash of the Castle. I feel like Chad Gable finds a way to kind of, slither his way into another Intercontinental Championship match. That match ultimately, and it's not by mistake, it's by absolute revenge. It's by absolute trying to stick up for yourself. You're going to see Otis totally screw over Chad Gable for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, setting up a match for WWE SummerSlam. So definitely loves that. Next, we had the Queen of the Ring final, Nia Jax, Lyra Valkyria. There's nothing really much to say about this match. That it was, David versus Goliath kind of story. You saw the ultimate annihilator. Lyra Valkyria was trying to powerbomb Nia Jax to gain an advantage. And then I think this clip kind of went viral all over TikTok. And you saw just Nia Jax come down about 5 feet onto the chest of Lyra Valkyria, getting the 1, 2, 3. So Nia Jax is our WWE Queen of the Ring, and she has a title shot coming to her against Bayley, or maybe not Bayley, at WWE SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now we have the men's King of the Ring match. We have Randy Orton against Gunther. It was a great match. Something that I kind of like seeing, much like you saw with the Tama Tonga match on WWE Smackdown with Randy Orton. You kind of saw Randy Orton finally start to bring out some vulnerability against these guys that have been portrayed as untouchable badasses, so dominant. Like Gunther in his Intercontinental Championship title reign, he's fought some pretty crazy guys. Like obviously Sheamus is pretty big. Chad Gable, yeah. But you've never seen Gunther fight someone like Randy Orton. You have not. And watching that, you saw a vulnerable state of Gunther, and I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. I think WWE should definitely start booking Gunther in more matches where he doesn't come off quite as this dominant force, because I feel like something that's kind of made Gunther's Intercontinental Championship reign more than the title reign itself, 666 days. It was just every single match I felt like I watched Gunther in. I felt like it was always a David versus Goliath story. And it's cool, you can make money off of that. WWE, well, professional wrestling in general, has made money off of that for years, decades, and years on years. And that's just something that, that plays to the crowd. The crowd, obviously, they rooted for Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. They rooted for Chad Gable when he fought a well-fought match on Monday Night Raw against Gunther. But I really like this. I really like to see Gunther kind of get thrown around a little bit. I honestly really like that. It was a roll-up win by Gunther. Randy Orton's shoulder was not down. His left shoulder was not down. Wasn't clearly down. It was kind of a terrible ending to a good match. It's kind of terrible ending to a good match. Honestly, the way this match kind of ended and the way Gunther kind of won this this King of the Ring thing, made me ultimately believe that I would have rather saw Jay and Tama Tonga kind of fight for this, for this trophy. But that's just me. Next, real quick, WWE Championship. So Logan Paul against Cody Rhodes. And it was nothing, Cody Rhodes did what Cody does best. I feel like the overall, aspect of it was trying to kind of put over Logan Paul as a potential future champion, and he showed that. He showed that 1,010%. The WWE United States champion was very impressive. couldn't win without trying to cheat. Cody Rhodes ultimately, kicked ass, took names, and he retained his WWE Undisputed Championship. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We have more reviews coming up. We have AEW's Double or Nothing review. We're gonna try to, kind of get this thing a moving. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reiterate what we talked about. We had our WWE Smackdown review, our WWE King and Queen of the Ring review as well. And we're going to keep this review going on. We have our AEW Double or Nothing review. It was a great pay-per-view, but before I move on any forward, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Give me your questions. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Let's just have a nice little, wrestling conversations. Definitely 110%. So let's make this happen. Let's make this happen. So let's go ahead and move on to our AEW's Double or Nothing, pay-per-view. It was really good. It was very good. It was very impressive. I loved it from head to toe. So, yeah, let's get started. So, Las Vegas, Nevada, MGM Grand was basically the setting of this place. It was the 5-year anniversary of AEW. It's kind of like their unofficial first pay-per-view. We started off with Will Ospreay against Roderick Strong. Will Ospreay proved why he's an amazing superstar. Defeated Roderick Strong, even with the help of the Undisputed Kingdom. Ospreay had the chance. Don Callis was forcing him to try to use the Tiger Driver, but Will Ospreay was like, I can win without him, man. And he did. He's the new AEW International Champion. Very impressed by Will Ospreay. I definitely love watching him wrestle. So, yeah. Next, we have Dr. Martha Hart. Obviously, she's the widow of Owen Hart. Tony Khan make their announcement about how the Owen Hart Cup will now introduce the women's and the men's winners will get title shots at Wembley Stadium in All In. So, in the semifinals, I think the semifinals and the finals will take place in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, the hometown of Owen Hart. Love this 110%. A lot of people, the moment I saw this, I was like, okay, kind of like that Paul Levesque and the King of the Ring kind of announcement. But he said that they were talking about this, they were sitting down talking on Christmas Eve. But I feel like, sometimes you just kind of add that in there to kind of be like, okay, so you're not copying Triple H. But that's something that a lot of people do not understand, that I don't think Tony Khan gives a shit. I don't think, excuse my language, but I don't think he cares. A lot of people are throwing shit at him like, dude, you're doing what WWE does. WWE has been along and has been a giant in terms of professional wrestling entertainment for years. Absolute years. So if somebody does something that does not mimic the WWE, why is it such a big deal? Why does it matter? Tony Khan is trying his best to kind of survive in the wrestling world, and definitely after this pay-per-view, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Ultimately, Vince McMahon kind of stepping down from the WWE kind of saved WWE in a way. So I thought that was, kind of crazy. And then you saw MJF make his return. MJF is back with All Elite Wrestling, thank God. And this is big. This is big. The moment I saw him, and the way he riled up the crowd and the way that he came out just guns blazing, absolutely throwing smoke at the crowd. He even mentioned Vince McMahon. And he's someone you can build the company around. You can bet that he's going to definitely go after, AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland. But I really like this. I really liked MJF kind of come back into the fray. Definitely good news for them. Sorry. Definitely good news for them. Good news for AEW. Love it. MJF is going to do wonders with All Elite. And then you saw Death Triangle against the Bang Bang Gang. One thing that I kind of got from this match was very, it was back and forth. And at one point, I had the thought that the Death Triangle was actually doing pretty darn good. They were doing really good, but there's one thing. There's one thing that kind of separates the Bang Bang Gang away from any trios, tag team champion, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and AEW. It's Switchblade Jay White. Switchblade Jay White is absolutely one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. He could probably make a run for a heavyweight championship for Ring of Honor. Also, could probably make a, kind of make a stab, kind of make a nice little, he could be. I don't think he can fight. I don't know. It'd be a good match between him and Swerve. I don't think he's quite ready just yet. But Switchblade Jay White is probably one of the best wrestlers on the AEW roster. Definitely top five. Top five. Definitely top three. Top three. Honestly, definitely, my next podcast, I will give you the top 10 AEW wrestlers, and I promise he will be top three. Moving on, we had the AEW Women's Championship match between Toni Storm and Serena Deeb. It was a good match, but ultimately and still, AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm progresses because Toni Storm is just so good. She's just so damn good. She's just so, she's technical. She can hit submissions. Definitely, you're kind of your Swiss Army knife of women's wrestling kind of right here. Definitely love that Toni Storm, retained her title. I honestly didn't give Serena Deeb enough credit that I thought. She put on a damn good match. So good for Serena Deeb. That's good for her career overall. Even better for, and still, the AEW Women's Champion. Next, you saw Orange Cassidy against Trent Beretta. Orange Cassidy was able to, freshly squeezed, was able to defeat his former best friend, Trent. I absolutely love that because I love Orange Cassidy. Then you saw the FTW Championship match between Hook, Shibata, and Jericho. It was a physical bout. It was a very physical bout. Something that kind of scared me was you saw that botched Death Valley driver that was supposed to land on Jericho on the table. It didn't really do that. And it was obviously, and then you saw Big Bill save Chris Jericho, and you saw once again a double submission, and then kind of like, creating that kind of Vietnam, kind of like that flashback of like entirety of crap. Then you saw Brian Keith, the bounty hunter, frustrated with the way the match ended, ultimately had to help Jericho pick up the win here. So and still, the FTW World Champion, Chris Jericho. The Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. You saw the IWGP Eliminator, John Moxley against Konosuke Takeshita. It was a good match. I loved it 1,010%. I love John Moxley in any kind of match he fights. So definitely has some good, skills right there. John Moxley was clearly hurt 110%. You kind of saw him come out. And although like they put bandages and be like, okay, yeah, kayfabe, we won, this guy was hurt. Like if you did not notice that, watching from a wrestling perspective, you're not a true wrestling fan, man. Like these guys, although they do have bandages wrapped up on certain body parts, doesn't necessarily mean it's all BS. It just means that, like, yeah, dude, it's actually hurt. So, don't get crazy about it. So I loved seeing John Moxley go out there. He was able to defeat Takeshita. Overall, it was a great match. I would love to see these two fight again for the IWGP Championship. Then you saw a steel cage match, barbed wire, with Edge coming out from the Brood, looking absolutely ruthless against Malachi Black, House of Black. Something that I picked up from this match was Gangrel came back. Loved Gangrel. Loved how he was a huge, excuse me, a huge like kind of player in terms of how Edge he was brought up. He was brought up by the Brood with him, Edge and Christian, within the WWF Attitude Era. So I thought that was pretty badass. Gangrel helping, kicking out Brody King, attacking Buddy Matthews. And, just kind of making the odds a little even there. I love the kind of, the hug and the embrace at the end. Thought that was badass. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Now we have the AEW TBS match between Willow against Willow Nightingale against Mercedes Moné. Moné was very emotional in her first match back in terms of wrestling on the AEW spectrum. Trash talking from the beginning. Chris Statlander and Stokely ultimately screwed Willow in the middle of the match. A lot of people, I didn't really think too much of it. I was like, dude, you were trying to help. You messed it up, dude. You messed it up. Willow had it. Willow had a chance at doing that. And, you kind of saw, Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné kind of having Willow in that crossface, refusing to break the hold, kind of showing that she's more than willing to kind of be this heel. She's more than willing to be the heel in the women's division in AEW. Because like I said before, the AEW World Women's Champion, Toni Storm, she's not necessarily a heel. I don't believe that at all, 110%. And Willow was never a heel, probably one of the best baby faces in the world. Mariah May, ultimately doing what Toni Storm's doing. You have Thunder Rosa. She's not really a heel. So you kind of need someone to fill in that role there. And obviously now you kind of have, people wondering why Statlander betrayed her friend Willow of Nightingale. It'll be addressed on AEW Dynamite happening on Wednesday. So can't wait to find out. Mercedes Moné picks up the victory. We have our new AEW TBS champion, and the crowd hated it. I hated it. I think it was terrible. I thought it was one of the most terrible decisions that AEW kind of made. But Tony Khan, and if you're in Tony Khan's shoes, you're paying a lot of money for this girl. So you're going to, kind of give her the world, so to speak. Next is the AEW World Championship match. Definitely what I thought it was going to be. It was slow and steady, kind of playing the Christian's kind of edge here. Swerve Strickland was trying to break down Christian Cage. Patriarchy was highly involved, but finally kicked out. Swerve kicked out from a kill switch. Swerve stomp from the announce table was pretty bad. There was a lot of a couple of stomps that were made in this fight. I kind of thought to myself, I was like, damn, how is Christian still breathing right now? Poor guy. And then, of course, you had the house call, and still AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland moves on. And the cool thing, you kind of saw Floyd Mayweather come out and support his boy. So I thought that was pretty close. It's pretty cool, not close. And finally, we had the Anarchy in the Arena match between Team AEW and the Elite. This match was absolutely off the hook. It was absolutely crazy. Nothing that I've ever seen before. Something that you would see in a movie, something that you would see. I think this topped any match you've kind of seen within the WWF Attitude Era. And I know I'm with you guys. I'm a WWF Attitude Era kind of guy. Definitely love this. Definitely loved how, Jack Perry was lit on fire. I don't want to sound, kind of dark here. And they saw Darby Allin, lifted up, and he was hit by a bus, and it just blood. You saw the guys Reeboks. They super kicked. It was bad. There was blood everywhere. It was absolute bedlam. Bryan Danielson was trying to do his best to, try to defeat, but I gotta say probably the MVP in this matchup was definitely Kazuchika Okada, because he definitely broke up a lot of pinfalls. It seemed like every single time someone was like, 1, 2, broken up by Okada. He was definitely the MVP. And then out of nowhere, you saw Jack Perry come back from being lit on fire. This guy was he feels like he was lifted up from the depths of hell with his pants absolutely inflamed. And he came out, he did what he had to do, defeated he defeated Bryan Danielson for the Anarchy in Arena, going to, and I need to say, and it's sad to say, the Elite, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, with Jack Perry and Kazuchika Okada, the AEW Continental Champion. So, it was an amazing pay-per-view. It was great. Definitely, if you have a chance to check it out. And yeah, so let's go ahead and move on. Rapidly running out of time like I always am. Kind of crazy. Next, we have our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. We'll try to keep this under, 6 minutes. So, let's dig on into it.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy E here with all the wrestling cool facts and, potential storylines and promotions in terms of all of professional wrestling. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We talked about a bunch of reviews. We reviewed SmackDown, King and Queen of the Ring, and AEW's Double or Nothing, but we get all that out of the way. So let's go ahead and jump on into our preview. Kind of try to, knock this out as fast as possible because we are running out of time. So, Monday Night Raw, the fallout of WWE King and Queen of the Ring. We're in Savannah, Georgia tonight at the End Market Arena. It's going to be pretty dope. We have, a couple matches that's listed. Braun Strowman against JD McDonough. Don't really know why this match is happening, but I guess if WWE has a plan, maybe Uncle Howdy debuts tonight. That would be pretty cool. If I had to make a prediction, Braun Strowman is fighting JD McDonough because JD McDonough has done basically everything wrong in terms of the Judgment Day in the eyes of El Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, kind of like a way to kind of, teach them a lesson. Damian Priest has said in the past episode of Monday Night Raw that he does not recognize them anymore as the Judgment Day. And it's true. It's true. They're not the same kind of people. And JD McDonough kind of was not like the outsider, but I don't know. He just seemed like he wasn't really fit with the Judgment Day. A lot of people think, but JD McDonough, I'm not doubting his in-ring capabilities. McDonough did really well. NXT UK, he did really, really well. And NXT made it onto the main roster to kind of team up with, the Judgment Day. And it's done his career really, really well. So I feel like at this point, Finn's career kind of, blasted off because of this. Damian Priest is obviously the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Dirty Dom kind of is the name on his own. Rhea Ripley was the World Women's Champion, and now you kind of have JD McDonough probably going to, try to forge a tag team here. I feel like he'd be great in the tag team division with somebody. Next, we see Liv Morgan against Becky Lynch in a steel cage match. Becky Lynch is invoking her rematch clause for the WWE Women's Championship. Should be pretty interesting. I think it's going to be huge. But I think once again, Liv Morgan's going to find a way to kind of weasel her way out of this one because if Becky Lynch wins, why give Liv Morgan just like a one-day reign? You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. They're building up Mommy against, the Revenge Tour, the person to kind of kill the Revenge Tour after it succeeded. The only person that could do that is Rhea Ripley. And I feel like Rhea Ripley is going to come back in WWE SummerSlam. I've known, I follow her on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, constantly posting rehab videos, constantly posting, workout videos. She's going to kill it. She's going to be amazing. When she comes back, it's going to be hell for whoever holds that WWE World's, Heavyweight Championship. Next, we're going to see Ricochet against Ilya Dragunov. Don't really know why this match is really happening. Kind of like a rematch from the King of the Ring. Maybe Ricochet feels like he has to prove himself to Ilya because Ilya, obviously beat Ricochet, the WWE Speed Champion. But you saw last week, Braun Breaker kick the crap out of Ricochet, which I didn't like. I feel like so far, their character development of Braun Breaker has been terrible. WWE has done Braun Breaker. Even Paul Levesque, man, what are you doing, dude? And then you kind of see him going after Adam Pearce, something that wrestling fans, something that wrestler promoters, storylines, whatever. Something that they should understand is when you invoke a storyline with the wrestler against the higher ups, kind of like a Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's only a couple of times when this is actually done really well. Like AEW did it with Tony Khan and the Elite, and it kind of worked, but honestly, it just doesn't seem like it's working out. It's just I don't want to see Adam Pearce fight Braun Breaker at all. It'd be kind of stupid. And Braun Breaker needs his character to develop more. If not, why'd you draft him from a WWE NXT? Should have kept him, the Wolf Dogs with Baron Corbin. Next, we had the Creed brothers against the Authors of Pain. This is going to be a really physical match. The Creed brothers are definitely the real deal. Authors of Pain looking to bounce back from being tossed out of WWE NXT, tossed out of WWE Smackdown, and now you have them and Karrion Kross against the Creed brothers. It's going to be pretty hot, it's going to be pretty cool. Interesting to see where they kind of go for this. I think this is definitely going to be one of those things where the winner becomes like the number one contender moving toward Clash at the Castle in Scotland. So it should be pretty cool. Next we have Gunther. Is going to speak. He's going to talk about his recent WWE King of the Ring, victory, and he's going to talk about ultimately fighting either Damian Priest or whoever he's going to stand in his way. So, should be pretty awesome to kind of find out what happens with that. So, the Monday Night Raw is happening right now. Can't wait to watch it. Running out of time. We've actually ran out of time. I kind of wanted just a little segment, a little overtime. Our Memorial Monday. We're going to talk about Chyna. So, hey, don't go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. So today on our podcast, we had a bunch of reviews. We reviewed WWE Smackdown. We reviewed WWE King and Queen of the Ring in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We also reviewed AEW's Double or Nothing. That happened last night. And we also previewed Monday Night Raw. So, like we always do on every Monday, I want to talk about a WWE superstar, any wrestling superstar that's kind of passed, but ultimately left their legacy in terms of the world of wrestling. So let's go ahead and dig on into that. I know a lot of you guys are, eagerly waiting for this soccer podcast with my man Emran. But why not? Give you a little more, another dose of wrestling in this overtime edition. I'm just kidding, no, no. But let's just move on. I don't want to get in trouble. So we have Chyna. Her name Joan Marie Laureate. She was born December 27th, 1969. She was a bodybuilder. Also, she's an author of her book. She's an actress. She's a fitness model, and she is the ninth wonder of the world. No one's probably done anything that Chyna has accomplished within any wrestling industry, any wrestling promotion, kind of giving people you during her brought up, and definitely like something that I definitely understood from watching Chyna kind of grow up within the WWE is kind of give women just the thought and kind of give them the, be like, hey, like you can do it. Chyna's going out there. She's beating guys for the Intercontinental European Championships. She was in the Royal Rumble. She was in the King of the Ring. You can hang with the guys. And I know definitely past, in society and stuff like that, you've kind of seen a lot of like unfair treatment in terms of like financial and, rights and all that. But, this isn't that kind of podcast. So let's stick to Chyna. But, but that's something that you kind of have to talk about. That's something that Chyna did. That's although it is wrestling, a lot of people use that metaphorically for people to for Chyna to kind of reach young women all over the states, reach young women, aspiring to become WWE superstars. So Chyna, 110% was definitely one of the best women's wrestler of all time. She was made famous with her stable in D-Generation X, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, WWF Intercontinental Champion twice, also a WWF Women's Champion. After leaving WWE, she wrestled in New Japan Professional Wrestling and Total Nonstop Action in 2011. She also had the right, she also had the privilege. Well, I don't know privilege, like I don't know how to, but her accolades must be talked about. She was featured in Playboy. She was a cast member in The Surreal Life. She was, a prominent star in like VH1. She also received, and like I said, I'm only talking about her accomplishments here. She also received an AVN award for best selling title. If you don't know what AVN stands for, you don't have to look it up. Those who know, you know. Those who don't know, don't worry about it. But how you got to give credit where it's due. Uh, WWE Hall of Fame. She made it with DX in 2019. Love that. Love that she made her way in the Hall of Fame in terms of wrestling. She couldn't, didn't really think she was going to be able to kind of accomplishment on her own, but although she damn near did, like, you know what I mean, like she was great. In 2019 was just like it kind of propelled her for people to kind of realize like, hey, dude, Chyna was definitely someone in the Generation X that you never really saw. You kind of saw the woman as the enforcer. Usually the women stand, they kind of stand wayside, and they kind of don't really help the men's superstar win the title or just basically be better than the men themselves. And obviously you saw him, you saw them fighting with Jeff Jarrett. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, she kind of stuck up for herself. And she was the original mommy. She was the original mommy. I see this all the time. Whenever I see Rhea Ripley, I gotta be honest, I think of Chyna. Just like the bulkiness, the dominance, the leather. You can't help but to think that Rhea Ripley kind of bases this whole new storyline of with Eddie, not with Eddie Guerrero's son, with Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic Mysterio, kind of like an homage, kind of paying homage to how how Chyna was with Eddie Guerrero, because Chyna was known, she wasn't your Chyna doll. She wasn't your Chyna doll. She was able to, kind of throw down. She was able to kick ass. And Eddie Guerrero was kind of like that, that romantic, and like Dominic Mysterio is within Rhea Ripley. So I think the two kind of together are pretty good, pretty good. Definitely paying homage to Chyna though, definitely. She left WWE November 30th, 2011. She did have an injury where she was not televised on TV for the longest time in terms of professional wrestling. This is, of course, when Triple H and Stephanie McMahon started their on-stage romance behind the scenes, and also in front of the screens. You had the McMahon homes, Lyra kind of going on, and Chyna kind of fell to the wayside of that. And a lot of people kind of depict Triple H as kind of like the bad guy because, like, dude, like, it's life. It's life 110%. I'm not, they were together for 4 years. I don't really know what happened between them. I don't, I know for a fact that after Joan's passing, her sister said that Triple H was nothing but good to Joan. Joan and Triple H disagreed with their family plans, having kids, and also Joan's substance abuse and mental health. Definitely was, one of the huge reasons that kind of caused a wedge within these two. So I love Triple H. I love Chyna. It's kind of hard to be like, oh, Triple H just ditched Chyna. Like, it sucks. He kind of, he was the reason why she did what she did. Like, you could believe that all you want. But in reality, sometimes you kind of have to take responsibilities for your own actions. And Chyna, although she was very gifted, she was also she was troubled. She was troubled. Life isn't easy. Life isn't easy. A lot of us have, we all have our vices. Best thing to do, kind of clinch onto the ones we love. Make sure we're very open with, certain unconscious or subconscious like feelings of, depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And ultimately, like, if you're in trouble, reach out to somebody. That so definitely something that Chyna passed away April 20th, 2016 of an accidental overdose in Redondo Beach, California. So loved Chyna, definitely loved the way she kind of left a legacy. A legacy within wrestling, not just within the WWE. Like, you see it everywhere now. I honestly can go out on a limb and be like, none of these superstars, and this is going way out on a limb, that just success of women overall in society, not just wrestling, not just business, not just, politics. I know I'll be like, dude, calm down, Eric. She was just a wrestler. But you gotta realize sometimes you watch things when you're young. You watch things where you're young, you get a lot of, inspiration. You get inspiration and a lot of just a lot of animosity. You get a lot of like, they're your role model. You're like, man, if China can do it, I can do it. Like, you know what I mean? And like I said, it might be a little aggressive, and I know a lot of you guys probably be like, Eric, you're dumb as hell. But but for me, who knows? Who knows who China would have, the best thing to do is pay respect. We lost China at a very young age. She was 46 years old. Definitely could have been, probably still wrestling to this point. So yeah, definitely love, miss China. Thoughts and prayers out to her family. She was an amazing woman, 110%. So yeah, I hope you guys liked my show, my Memorial Day version, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Like I said before, it is my birthday, so type in a happy birthday at the in the chat. If not, just realize that you're a jerk and just regret it for the rest of your life. I'm just kidding. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to our show, to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, but most importantly, to the GSMC Sports Network. It really does make a difference, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity all the way, baby. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, whatever you like to call it, or whatever Elon Musk wants to call it nowadays, TikTok and Instagram for more content and updates. Once again, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we have Sports on Sports. We have TJ with Sports, Jeremy on Sports, Kenneth with football, the Andrew Tate Show. We have Hoops and Heels with Samantha, your one-stop shop for women's sports. It's everything from MMA, the Olympics, WNBA. If you want to freshen up on your women's sports, make sure you check out Samantha's podcast. And the NBA playoffs are heating up. We have my boy Nelson. He's going to be on my show with my man Christopher, the host of the Sports Fantasy podcast. We're just going to tear it up. We're going to tear it up on Friday. Make sure you tune into that show. It's going to be absolutely dope. Once again, thank you for tuning into my podcast. Hope you had an amazing Memorial Day weekend. And most importantly, stay beautiful. Love you and have a good day.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work. Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great.